Dear students, this lecture has been specially developed with a view to enable you how to write a summary of a given passage. I hope you will find it helpful for this purpose. Next, as you know, each lecture or lesson has a purpose behind it. So we have the purpose, the outcome in mind, that at the end of this lecture, at the end of this lesson, students will be able to know how to attempt the question of summary writing. Now let us read the passage. Such a passage is usually given to you in the paper and you are supposed to write it, read it and write its summary in a proper and correct manner. So the passage is, as it starts, to get through these pressures, many students seek ways to obtain stress relief, but instead of opting for healthy activities like sports or exercising to decompress, some students turn to the use of drugs. Students often find using drugs as an escape or a coping mechanism without being aware of detrimental consequences. The risk, of course, is that they may sabotage their education or make their lives worse. Parents are the largest influence of external pressure for their young adult. The level of anxiety that families have about the studies and future goals of their siblings can adversely affect the progress and overall development of children. Pressure on developing minds has the potential to affect the nervous system and brain and can place youth at greater risk for abuse of drugs. Parental interference and pressure is therefore one of the most significant external trigger for pressures and can lead to a high risk environment for mental illness and addiction in students. Then there is paragraph number 3. In paragraph number 3, the writer says, but for parents, the door swings both ways. Parents can influence their children through healthy dialogue about risk factors, stress, and the dangers of drug abuse. As custodian, parents should wish their children to be successful and not succumb to their demands. Children learn more by what their parents do than what they say. And if they see that their parents cope with pressure in a negative way, it sends a powerful message to their children. The pressure that adults put on themselves, both as individuals and parents, trickle down to their kids. So we must start early to help teens develop a positive self-image and create healthy approaches to dealing with life. So next and the final paragraph of this passage is, when students try to alleviate pressure or stress, illegal substances make for a viable option. These illicit drugs are easily and can cheaply and they are cheaply available everywhere in our country. In addition, in many colleges and universities, events, alcohol and drugs are glorified and used as a sign of pleasure and romance. So, students, such like paragraphs, passages are usually given to you in the paper, and you are supposed to go through the passage carefully. And then there are 7 questions at the end of such passage, and you have to write the summary beside writing the title and to answer those remaining questions. The remaining questions are easy to attempt, but this one I think is a little tricky to attempt. So that's why I thought it necessary to help you writing the summary of the passage. So it is easy, but you need to keep these points, these steps in mind while writing your summary. So we have certain key points, important tips for you to remember. Keep the following tips in mind when you are going to attempt the question of summary writing. It is important here to know the difference between a paragraph and a passage. So here you will come to know what is the difference between a paragraph and a passage. So a passage means it is usually made up of few paragraphs. So a passage is usually made up of few paragraphs. A passage is usually longer than a paragraph. When we try to write the summary of a passage, we write it in a single paragraph. In other words, we can say that the summary of a passage should not exceed a single paragraph. So here is two important points to note. The first one is the difference between a passage and a paragraph. A passage is longer than a paragraph. A passage consists of 3 to 4 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs. As you can see, this passage consists of 4 paragraphs. Paragraph number 1, 2, 3 and 4. When you are going to write the summary of this passage, you need to and you must write its summary in a single paragraph. As you can see, it should not exceed this. This is the most important point to note. Your summary should not exceed a single paragraph. You should write it in a single paragraph. So these points are very important to note. The next you can see, write down the important points. So you should divide the whole passage into points so that it becomes comparatively easier for you how to write the summary. So the important point over here is write down the important points of the passage. These important points may be the topic sentences. Topic sentences means these first sentences, parents or the largest influence of external pressure. These first sentences of a passage, they are called topic sentences or heading sentences or important points. So you need to concentrate, focus on the important points on the topic sentences in each paragraph of a passage. So the first point tells you write down the important points of the passage. These important points may be the topic sentences as I highlighted it, verbs. These important points may be verbs. Verbs mean action words and their coherent details. Coherent details means attached details to the verbs. The details are usually left out while writing the summary of the passage. You leave out the details related to the action words or the kernel part of the sentence or the topic sentence or the most important point of the sentence. You do not need to write the details about them. You need to focus upon the kernel part of the paragraph only. The kernel part means the most important part of the sentence. So point number 2, step number 2, key point number 2. Now combine these important points through English of your own. Now combine these important points through English of your own. Use present tense to make your sentences now. So while writing your summary, you need to use present tense. I do not say present simple tense or present continuous tense or present perfect tense or present perfect continuous tense. I'm telling you that you should use present tense. Present tense means all these aspects of this tense: present simple tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, and present perfect continuous tense when you are writing your own sentences. Now point number 3, convert direct sentences into indirect sentences if there is any. So point number 4 is very important to note. It says that you need to divide the task of reading the passage into smaller units before you go to handle with it. So this point is very important to note, because here you divide the whole passage into smaller units, which means paragraphs, and then you point out different important points from each paragraph. So the practice continues, as you can see it in the next slide, from paragraph number 1. This is your paragraph number 1. To get through these pressures, this is your paragraph number 1, and I did this job for you, and you will follow the same pattern. From paragraph number 1, I took out these important points to obtain stress relief, and then resort to drug abuse, and then the important point, sabotage their education. So if you go through the passage, these important points will be very easy to note for you. To get through these pressures, many students seek ways to obtain stress relief. So they want to obtain stress relief. Now it goes as the explanation, but instead of opting for healthy daily activities like sports or exercising. These are the details given. To decompress, some students turn to the use of drug abuse. So drug abuse is once again the important point which needs to be highlighted. This one, as you can see, you can underline it, and then they turn to the use of drug abuse. Use of drug abuse is also an important or key point in this paragraph. So students often find using drug abuse. This is once again an explanation which I told you as details about the key points or important points. Students often find using drug abuse as an escape or a coping mechanism without being aware of detrimental consequences. So the risk, of course, is that they may sabotage their education or make their lives worse. So the result is seen here. They sabotage. This word is pronounced is sabotage, or they make their lives worse. You can also underline it. So this is how you escape the unimportant or the details, and you take out the important points, note down the important points from such paragraph. And the same may be seen in paragraph number 2, and the same case may be followed in paragraph number 3, and the same with paragraph number 4. I have done it over here for you. In paragraph number 2, parents as external pressure. So this is the topic sentences I told you. They are the external pressure. So this one is the most key point, and you underlined it. They are the external pressure. They adversely affect the overall development of children. In the same paragraph, you can see for they are the largest influence of external pressure. They for their young adult, the level of anxiety. So these are the details. You need not to note them down or write them down. You just escape them. The level of anxiety that families have about the studies and future goals of their siblings can adversely affect the progress and overall development of children. What adversely affect the progress and overall development of children? Parents as the largest influence of external pressure. So this becomes the important point to note, and it helps you to develop your own summary. And then you can see in the same paragraph there is a high risk environment and drug addiction. So this is also this one, the last sentence of this paragraph. A pressure on developing minds has the potential to affect the nervous system and brain, and can place youth at greater risk. For these sentences are used for details for explanation, and you do not need to go for explanation. You just pick out the important points and note them down, write them down on a particular part of the paper, and then, as I told you, the final thing you have to do is to combine your points using your own English and write a single paragraph. So parents' interference and pressure is therefore one of the most significant external triggers for pressures and can lead to a high risk environment for high risk environment for mental illness and addiction and students. So external pressure they affect the children if adversely, and thirdly high risk of environment for drug addiction. This one becomes your third important point in this paragraph, and the same goes with the paragraph number 3. Parents as role model to their kids. This is an important point in paragraph number 3, and then they should behave positively. In paragraph number 3, the second important point is they should behave positively in front of their children. And the third important point in paragraph number 3 is they should help their children to create a positive image of themselves. So these are the important points from paragraph number 3. Paragraph number 4 also has important points. When students try to alleviate pressure, to decrease pressure, to get alleviate means you need to know the meaning of the words. If you want to understand properly what does the writer, what message he wants to convey. So to decrease, to get rid of pressure or stress, illegal substances make for a viable option. A viable option means easily available option. So these illicit drugs are easily and cheaply available everywhere. So these are important points. Easily and cheaply available drugs in our country. And the second important point is, as you can see in paragraph number 3, cheap and easy availability of illegal substances. And the second important point in the same paragraph, these drugs are used as a sign of pleasure and romance in different functions, events across the country. So you can see this is the second most important point in this paragraph. So after writing down these important points out of your small units, as I told you, to divide the whole passage into paragraphs so that it is easy for you to point out the important points from each paragraph separately. So this is the way you can do it from paragraph number 1, from paragraph number 2, from paragraph number 3, from paragraph number 4. You pointed out the important points which are responsible for the development of that paragraph and consequently for the development of the whole passage. Now start writing your well-knit summary, as you can see it under. You can start it like this: according to the writer, or according to my opinion. You can start writing your summary like this: according to the writer, or according to my opinion, students resort to drug abuse. You can change the order. You can change the order of your important points. For example, you can see the important point, the first important point over here is to obtain stress relief, and then resort to drug abuse and then sabotage their education. But I started writing the summary with students resort to drug abuse. So this is the second important point, but you can see I am writing it in the start of the paragraph. Students resort to drug abuse to obtain stress relief. They want to obtain stress relief, and this is the result. And this is the result: sabotage their education. So I wrote it as, according to the writer, students resort to drug abuse to obtain stress relief, which can destroy their educational career. And then second point, parents' undue expectations. This one, they are external pressure, they adversely affect the overall development of children, and this creates a high risk and drug attraction environment. So I wrote it as parents undue expectation causes external pressure, and then which adversely, so these expectations adversely affects the overall improvement of a child. So this is the you can say you have summarized the second paragraph of the passage. In the first sentence you have summarized the first paragraph. In the second sentence you have summarized the second paragraph, and now you are going to summarize the third paragraph of the passage. Parents should come forward to ease down the burden. This one, paragraph number 3 के जो points हैं, parents as a role model to their kids should behave positively, help them create a positive image of themselves. So parents should come forward to ease down the burden by behaving positively. They should behave positively in front of their kids as a role model to their kids. This is, you have summarized the third paragraph of your passage. Now the fourth one, cheap and easy availability of illegal substances, use as a sign of pleasure and romance. So this is, drugs are easily available in the institutions which are used as a sign of glorification. Glorification, I have used this word glorification instead of pleasure and romance. Glorification means as a sign of greatness, as a sign of great nobility, or being very elite. So these are the meaning of this word. You can use any word of your choice, but that should not go against the context of the paragraph or the passage. So you can see the summary consists of a single paragraph, and there are 4 sentences. Sentence number 1, it ends here. This is sentence number 1. Then you can see this is your sentence number 2, and then you can see this is your sentence number 3, and then you can see this is the last one is your sentence number this of glorification तक ये आपका sentence number 4 है. So your paragraph your summary should consist of a single paragraph, and it should not exceed 60 or 70 words. And the whole paragraph, you can see it has been written in the present tense. This is the way you can write your summary. I hope this lecture will go a long way to help you. If you have any question, you can send your feedback to me. It will be welcomed I shall take it into serious consideration and do more and make more videos for you, inshallah.